Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about calculation groups in Tabular Cube. So the same calculation groups also available in the Power BI. They works in same way, but in terms of like creating and developing and handling these calculation groups are little different in the Power BI. But for now, we're going to completely focus how I'm using the calculation groups in my business case. Okay, so the main benefits of, before we talk about the my use cases, so the main benefits of the calculation groups can significantly reduce the number of redundant measures within your tabular cube. That is the one thing. And then, redundant measures are nothing but like you might need to create like a year to date sales, quarter to date sales, month to date sales, right? In such scenarios, if you start creating like those YTD, QTD, MTD calculation for each measure, then your cube is completely fill up with a lot of measures, right? So to avoid that problem, so these calculation groups will help you to address such problems, right? And one more thing, so the calculation groups only start supporting from version of the SQL Server version of 1500, which is nothing but 2019 SQL Server, and it's also available only in the Power BI Premium. So the calculation groups, if you open the Tabular Cube after you launch the your model, so once you launch the model, you can see that calculation groups in here. Okay, so we're going to create my use cases where exactly I use these calculation groups for my business reporting purpose. I'll explain. So you can, as I mentioned, this is only supported from 1500 version and above that. So SQL Server 1500 version is nothing but SQL Server 2019 version, and above versions it's available. To check whether your model compatibility, you can go to your model name, just select the model name and hit F4 on your system so that you can see what is the compatibility level of your model. And then you can see in my scenario, since I only one version of the SQL Server, which is 2019, it's presently by default it's selected. But otherwise, if you have multiple versions in your local, then in here it will allow you to change it. So you can choose any version above the 2019 or equal to 2019, then you can create these calculation groups within the tabular cube. So that's about like compatibility and configuration settings of the calculation groups. Now coming to my use case, so in my business need, so I have used these calculation groups for to calculate the YTD, QTD, MTD, and prior year sales. Okay, and also I use the same calculation groups for converting my measures from dollar value to $1 million format, and sometimes K dollar format. In such scenario I used it. And then also use the to calculate rolling 3 months information or rolling n month sales information. In such scenario I used it. And also I used for to uplift the any particular sales value. Let's say I have a particular sales value and I want to increase that into 5%, right? And then to see the new sales value, uplifted sales value, then such scenarios I use the calculation groups in my um, day-to-day activity. I mean, in my client reporting side, I used it. And coming to this usage, right? So once you created these calculation groups, it will appear like a basically the calculation groups appear like a standard table in Tabular Cube. How you see the normal tables, right? So same way you can see the calculation groups. Under that, whatever the these expressions that we write, they will appear like a single column. It will be like a single column. Then you can drag and drop into your reports, Excel reports or Power BI reports. However, the column, whatever the column that you see, it will represents the multiple reusable calculations. So we'll start going through each example so that you will understand. In this video, I'm going to cover all these scenarios like creating these dynamic to-date calculation, converting the measures, rolling 3 months, and uplift sales information. All these four scenarios I'm going to cover. So without any delay, let's get into more details about these calculation groups. First, we'll look into the time intelligence functions, how these four functions will be reused for the each measure within our cube. So let me go to the tabular cube. So here is our the training cube that we created. So within that we have the calculation groups. Here is the calculation groups. So now I'm going to create the calculation group for the time intelligence function. So to do that, I need to right click on the calculation groups and then click on a new calculation group. Then it will create the one of the calculation group. For this calculation group, I can give a friendly name. So what I can do, I can click on the new calculation group and hit F4. Then it will open the properties window. And here I will say um, to date, calculations. Okay, so that's my name of the this measure group. Under that, I have the calculations again. Here I will rename it again. Again, to rename the columns, you need to press the F4 so that it will open properties window. Under that, you can mention time intel function. I'll put it like time intel functions. Okay, and if you want to hide those particular column, you can hide it, or you can make it visible for the user. So this is the property will help you to hide or visible for the user. You can mention the description, anything you want, you can narrate here. So that's the one. And now I'm going to add so the new functions YTD, QTD, MTD, and physical previous year. Okay, first we'll go ahead and create the function for YTD. So I'll rename again this particular calculation as a YTD. And then here I'll go to my expression window. So let me open the expression window. So here is my expression window. Here I need to start typing the formula. So I need to use calculate function. And with that, so I want to use this YTD function formula for selected measure. So selected measure, it's like selected measure is nothing but it's kind of parameter for the particular YTD calculation. So after that, I need to use the dates YTD function, right? So because we want to get years to date, right? So that's the way we use the dates YTD function, and then we're going to use the our date function. Where is our date function? Here is my date function. Okay, and then so in case if your organization follows the different fiscal year, you can mention that fiscal year, whatever the fiscal year that you want to mention. But however, in my scenario, I'm following the calendar year, so that means January is my starting month for the year, and December will be my end of the month for that year. So I'll not keep anything. So then I will close this function. Now my function is ready with YTD functionality. So now let me parse the function. So it's parsed successfully, and then you can see it's created. Okay. Now let's deploy the this particular cube. Okay. So I just deploy the cube. Cube deployment completed. Now let me open the um, so one of the Excel file which is connected to the retail cube. Here is the Excel file that I've opened. Now I'm making the connection to the cube. So I go to the data tab, get data, and from database, under that I select from analysis service, and I'll give my tabular cube engine name, tabular, localhost tabular, click next. And then here I select my retail TM, tabular model cube, and click next, and then finish. Now I just created the pivoted file. Now you can see here, let me drag. So now we'll browse the normally. So I just drag and drop the sales net USD, and then also, this time hierarchy. So calendar year. This is my calendar year hierarchy. I just dragged it. Now, if I go to here, so you can see here the calculation group that we created, right? So to date calculation, time intelligence. Now, if I drag this to here, you can see. So my to date calculation is appearing, right? So what happens? The time intelligence function, the YTD function, will replace the measure, whatever we selected. So in our scenario, we selected sales net USD, right? Now the YTD function will take the sales net USD as our current selected measure. If you go back and refer the our expression, right, in that here. So let me show you the expression one more time. Uh, oh, okay, some problem here. Let me open the properties. Oh, okay, why this edit formula? I'll click edit formula. So now you can see here, we are telling that selected measure. So in our scenario, if you refer the Excel file, the sales net USD is our selected measure, and that particular then it applies to the dates YTD formula based on the transaction date, and it will get replace the our existed measure with YTD. Now, along with YTD, if you want to see your original measure, then you need to write the expression again here. So what is the expression that we can write here is, let me create one more column, new column, and I'll say this time for this column, I'll say, name it like selected measure. That will be my column name. And here what I'll do, I will use the formula again. So just calculate, and then selected measure. So once you do that, just parse the DAX editor so that it's parsed and it's good. Now deploy. Let me deploy the cube. Now deployed the cube. Now I'll go to the Excel file again and just refresh the file. Now you can see here. So the selected measure is this, and here you can see the values are both are showing the same because we are at year level, right? So now if I expand this to quarter level, now you can see from first two quarters, the sum of the first two quarters is 2021916902. That's what you see under here. And if you sum it up 3 quarters, the sum of 3 quarters value will appear here. And if you sum it up 4 quarters, the 4 quarters value will appear here. So that's what you see. Even if you expand further, then again it will do the aggregation at all the level and make sure it fetches the year to date sales information. Now, so that's about YTD. Now we'll move on and create the same functions for QTD, MTD, and previous year sales. Okay. Now I'm going to add one more column here. And so this time I will create the QTD, quarter to date. And here I'll write the expression again. And this time I will use calculate and selected measure. And then, so this time I'm going to use dates to QTD. And then date column from our time dimension, which is transaction date. And then we'll close the, I think I got brackets twice. Yeah, let me close the brackets. That's it. Now my QTD is created. Now I'm going to create the MTD same way, new calculation, and then hit F4 and rename the column name MTD and go to the expression, right? So again I write the formula, calculate selected measure and dates MTD and dim time. From the dim time I'm going to use my transaction date and close the brackets. Now my MTD also got created. Now the last thing is previous year. So for the previous year I'm going to create the formula, which is PY, and then write the expression again, calculate selected measure. And this time, so to get the previous year sales, I use the same period last year. Okay, and then I'll say in time and I give the transaction date. Okay, and parse the function. Now we are good. So totally I created the 4 time intelligence functions. Now I'm going to deploy the cube. So deployed the cube. Now, so deployment completed. Now I refresh all. Now you can see here. So MTD, previous year sales information, QTD, and everything is automatically get added. But if you look at on the selection, so still I selected only one column, right? So you can see here, whatever we created calculation group, right? It's created like a one separate dimension within the tabular cube. Under that, all these grouping, right? So YTD, QTD, MTD, previous year, all these expressions binded under the one column. When you drag that particular column, all these expressions will directly apply to the selected measure. Okay, so that's about how you created the to date calculation. Now, next thing is we're going to see how we can use the same calculation groups to create a rolling n months expressions. Okay, let's get into the detail. For rolling months, so we need to create one more calculation group. So I'm going to create one more calculation group for the rolling months. I mean, in fact, you can create within the existed to date calculation, but I don't want to create any confusions, right? So the to date calculation is completely used for the time intelligence. So that's the reason I want to create my rolling months, the expression in the separate group. So now I'm going to say this group name is called rolling n months. And this is my group name. I just renamed it. Under that, I'll say column name is again rolling n months. I'll give it the same name, rolling n months. So now so this is the whatever you give the column name, right? So the rolling n months or time intelligence. So this is the column. It will be exposed to the client application, either in Excel or Power BI. So when you drag this particular column, all these expressions will be evaluated based on your selection. Okay, so it's very important you give the meaningful name for this rolling this column names. Okay, now I'm going to create the calculation items. So this is the where we define the expression. Now, so what I'll say, first I will rename this because I want to along with my rolling n months, I want to see my selected month. That is the important, so that I can compare the data all the time, right? So now I will say calculate selected measure and then evaluate expression. So it's evaluated. Now I'm going to create one more column calculation item, and this time I'll give this calculation item for like rolling. For now, I'll give rolling 2 months as a column name, and I'll write the expression only for the rolling 2 months, just demo purpose. But it's not like that. You can use the rolling 2 months. You can use the rolling 6 or rolling 12 months. So you can create multiple calculation items. So based on that, it will sum it up your rolling months information. Now here I write calculate selected measure. So under here, what I'll do. Okay, so we're going to use the dates in period. Okay, so I'm going to use the dates in period function. And here, what I'll do, I will take my in time transaction date, and then what I will do, I will take the max of my in time transaction date, right? And I close the bracket. Then I'll say go back to the 2 months, right? 11. Okay, that's it. Now evaluate the expression. Okay, so we are good. Now let me deploy this cube. So I deploy the cube and I go to the Excel file. Now refresh the cube connected file. So now we can see rolling n months information start appearing like a dimension. Now let me drag this column. So you can see here, let me close this window. Yeah. Now you can see here. So this is original measure, selected measure. Now sum of these 2 months value is 688053166. Okay, it's a summing up previous month value and current month value and displaying under the current month. So likewise, you can sum it up, rolling 12 months, rolling 13 months, rolling 6 months. How many months you want to sum it up and display under the current measure, you can do the using this rolling months expression. Okay, now similarly, if you want to see that what is your previous month value, right? So let me write that formula also. Previous month value, I'll say previous month is nothing but PM, I'll say. And then here I write the expression. Under the expression, what I'll do, calculate selected measure. And then this time I'll use simply parallel period and my transaction date. And that I'll say -1. Okay, I think there is a bracket issue here. So -1 at month level. So if you want to know what is this parallel period, whatever the time intelligence functions that I'm using here, right? So if you want to know detail about those functions, I would request you go to my another video, which is the time intelligence function video. So I'll provide in the description. You can go through that video and have a check example how this parallel period or time intelligence function works. Okay. So now coming back to the our topic. So previous month metric, the formula that I defined here, just now I parsed the DAX expression. Now it's parsed. Now I'm going to deploy. So the cube is deployed now. So now I'll refresh simply. Refresh. Oh, now you can see here. So this is my current month. My previous month value is 355124215. That is the one is appearing here. Okay. So likewise, not only previous month, if you want to create like previous month minus current month minus 2, current month minus 3, current month minus 4, you can write your own other formulas and edit the formula. So since I mentioned like -1, that means my previous month value. If I mention -2, then it will goes to the current month as a reference, then it will go back to the 2 months back and fetch the data. Likewise, you can mention how many months want to go back. You can define the here is the parameter. Okay, not only -1, you can do forward direction also. In case instead of previous month, if you have a data for the future month, then you can instead of -1 you can mention 1, right? The positive numbers will take you through the forward direction of the future month values, whereas in the negative parameter values it will go back to the past. That's how the parallel period function works, and this is how you can write your rolling months information in the calculation group. Now we'll move on to the last my scenario, which is the format for displaying the values in format. Okay, so different format is nothing but million format or $K format or $billion format you can display. Okay, so that is the one we're going to talk about it. To format our sales values, I'm going to create one more calculation group. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new calculation group, and here, so new calculation group is created. I'll name it like format sales values. That is the group name I want to give. So I given the group name. Under that, I will rename the columns that I selected. So columns, say format sales values in. Okay, that's the name I'll give it. Sales values in. Under that, I'm going to create the first calculation expression that I'm going to write calculation item. So here I simply select my selected measure, where I will write the calculate my selected measure. Okay, so this is my reference, right? Now I'm going to create K dollar measure. Okay, so here I'll name it like K dollar format. In expression, we need to write the formula. Okay, so calculate, right? So here I need to use divide function. and this selected measure, right? So under that, I want to do the division with 1000 so that I'll get the K dollar. Okay. Now I select this, parse this expression. Expression is parsed, and then I want to format string. Here I would say, what is the format string? I want to use, sorry, F4. So I'll say 2.0. So given the format string, now I deploy to the cube. So cube deployed, and then this time I'll refresh the Excel file again. Refresh the Excel file. Let me get the field list, and yeah, you can see here our newly measure is already created. Now if I just drag and drop, okay, so end input was reached. I think it's issue with the format string. Probably I used the wrong format. Let me go to here, edit formula. This is correct. Okay, and then y format string. It seems there is a bug in my system. That's the reason it's not able to parse it. What I'll do, I will remove that format string by going through the view code. Let me close the model and then view code. Let me search, control find K dollar format. So this is the expression I given, right? So now what I'll do, I will remove the expression. Okay, I'll make this format string definition equals to, I'll just remove it. Okay, so then save the code. Now I'll reopen the model and redeploy the cube. So now this time we go to the Excel file, and then just refresh all again. And now this time I'll drag the sales values in. Okay, so please try again. External data source. Okay, still there is an issue. What is that issue? Let's get into the details. Format, sales in, calculation. What happened? Let me see. Sorry, there is one bracket is missing, and then I corrected. Now I will just deploy the cube again and then refresh the file so that changes will come up. Now I'll drag it. Bingo. So you can see here my selected measure values are showing in dollar format, and using this K dollar format expression, now it's converted to the K dollar format. It's divided by the by 1000, divided by 1000. Okay, similarly you can create the million format same way how I created the K format, right? Now let me do this million format, M format. I'll say M dollar format, and here I say calculate divide by selected measure, comma, million format, right? 6 zeros, 6 zeros, and close the bracket. Now let me give the format of this measure this time, format string. Okay, I want to display in saying that M 0.00 space M. Let's see, it will work, and deploy. So deploy the cube. Now I refresh the Excel file, right? So now what happened? There is a million format, okay, and yeah, some format issue with that format string. Oh, every time I refresh, it's going something wrong. Okay, didn't refresh or continue refresh. Okay, so there is a problem with this format string. Let me roll back. I don't think I can see here. Let me go to the view code, and again we do as usual search for the M dollar and remove this expression. Okay, probably, I mean, in my scenario I didn't use the format string. I'm just trying. whether it works. So anyway, that's not working, but yeah, let me remove it and redeploy the cube. So deploy the cube and then refresh. Right, so now you can see it's showing the million format of your dollar. So not only million format, you can, you know, convert into billion format, and also if you want to, uplift your measure value that I mentioned, right? So now here, uplift my sales value. Let's say you want to uplift my sales value, then you can also create that here. So let me show that how we can uplift the value. I'll create here itself just for demo purpose, but I'll say uplift by 5%. Okay, so the expression that I'm going to use here, so calculate selected measure, okay, into 0.05, right? So that is my one measure, and I want to sum it up, right? So selected measure. So first it will uplift the value by 0.05, take that value and sum it to the original value. So that's the where I see now the column is created. Now let me deploy the cube. So now the cube is deployed. Data and refresh all. Now you can see here the uplift by 5%. When you uplift by 5%, this is how the value, the original value is converted. The scenario that we get it is, so we have the kind of, currency rates where the business will look into the, if my currency value fluctuated, right? Let's say today the dollar value is rupee to dollar value is 80 rupees, right? Tomorrow, if it is turned to 81, what will be my sales value? How much it's going to increase? And if my next year my currency value is changed to 85, what will be my sales value? So that gap they will see it, and based on that they will adjust forecast and budgeting and all those details. So it's a normal technology. I mean, that is the one of example, but some companies they do the 2% of the uplifting in their contract value for the distributors. There's a lot of business cases that you use. Okay, so that's where you can use these calculation groups, where you can put it like standard uplift by 5%, uplift by 10%, uplift by 15%. You can define that formula so the business can drag and drop and see their sales value when they increased by 5%, and then when they increase the 10%, what is their sales value. So such kind of visibility and that analysis purpose, we can use the uplift columns. So that's about these calculation groups again. So these same calculation groups are available in the Power BI Premium. You can use it. So the calculation, whatever we used in the Power BI or Tabular Cube, both are same. There is no difference. That's about, I mean, that's how I use the calculation groups in my project to help our business to solve some of the problems. If I don't use these calculation groups, what I need to do, I need to create all those measures in the K dollar format, million dollar format, or rolling months. So if I want to, let's say 10 metrics, I want to create rolling n months information, right? I need to create 10 into, let's say I'm looking at rolling 12 months information. I need to create 12 into 10, so it will be 120 measures I need to create. So to avoid that kind of problems, these calculation groups are very friendly and very helpful. So let me know your feedback in comment section. What do you think about this calculation group? And that's all about this video. I'll see you in the next video with a different topic. Thank you.